let's take a look at DI versus Oracle Think Tank, which is a top 4 game as well. So 2 Protect decks making it to the top 4. This is pretty amazing given the fact that there was a Force meta previously. So not really surprised too, given that Protect actually start winning already. So DI does go first here, writes into the Age of Darkness, which allows him to draw one more card and soul charge one from hand. And DI is the OTD writes with the Tetra Magus there, getting the quick shield. And to point out, the OTT is actually playing the 8 Grade 3 deck list, which is not the usual Deer and Medusa. He does hit the Grade 3 Searcher through, hitting the Amaterasu there. So what Amaterasu does is when it's revealed, you can actually bind the top card of the deck and giving 10k power and 1 critical to your Vanguard. So this is a very huge, I would say, power swing, given it's only turn 1. So you can see as his decklist also runs the Grade 2 Ichiki, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, I'll just call it Grade 2 Ichi from now on, which is the same effect as Amaterasu, just that it, instead of giving a critical, it just plus 10k. So he actually calls the second Grade 3 Searcher but misses the search, which could have potential 3 critical on turn 1. So and it gets plus 5k if you reveal a card this turn, so they both actually achieve the plus 5k. Mega swings to 18k, 2 criticals, gets a draw trigger there, which might have been a critical there, and that will be a lethal 3 damage push from 1 Vanguard swing. So and now DI is currently at 3 damage. It rests into the Executioner there, which is on place, Command Blast 1, Soul Charging 3. If you Soul Charge a trigger, you do draw 1 card. Ironically, you do want to Soul Charge a trigger there because you want to draw additional cards. How will the DI be able to fare against this highly aggressive OTT? Cause the Grade 3 Searcher then, will he be able to hit the Age of Darkness? Number of Terror, So he does. So a Number of Terror actually gives DI a very significant, I would say, hand size swing as well as a power boost. I mean, what's even greater, that is actually a potential 10k shield in hand. So he does drop the Scharhrots, indicating that he does have more than 1 Scharhrot in hand. And he commits the Yellow Bolt there to potentially swing rears, trading rears. So he actually swings the Vanguard instead to, I would say, catch up on the damage, given that he's already at 3 and OT is currently at 0. It's 1 damage there, doesn't hit a trigger but eats the Susanoo. Swings with the Green Searcher, which is a 10k guard because you do Soul Charge 1 card this turn. So he's a critical trigger there, very fortunate. Will he be able to open a crit here and punish? Nope, it could have been a potential 4 damage there, very scary. He rests into this, I'm not quite sure the name, but what he does is Soul Blast 1, as demonstrated here. You drop 1 card from your hand, and within a top deck, if it's a normal unit, you plus 6k, but if it's a trigger unit, you do get the benefit of the trigger. So he does review the Grade 2 Ichi there, so he finds the top deck and then Vanguard plus 10k. So currently, Vanguard does plus 16, and Grade 2 Ichi does have another skill, is that you can on place look at the top card of the deck, you can put it at the bottom if you want to, but then you review the top card. If it's a normal unit, you do get plus 10k. So as you can see, there's so much synergy here. So much high power on just a Grade 2 turn, and DI is forced to just no-gas almost every time. But unfortunately for the OTT player, does not open the critical there, which could have ended the game so fast. So we do see the right to the Scharhrot there. How will the game play out? I'm not exactly sure if he can achieve the 13 souls this turn, given the fact that he didn't really soul charge much in the previous 2 turns. And what's interesting is that this DI doesn't actually play the Killer Tail here, but after the finals, I did question him. He actually mentioned that he will consider playing Killer Tail already. I mean, Killer Tail is such a good card, and it's a target for Elmer Master especially, and you can actually constantly soul charge every turn, and not to forget the counter charge that he provides. So he does target Yellow Bolt for the Ember Master skill, and then he soul charges 2. And 1 more from the drop zone, I believe. Yep. We do see 1 in the drop zone. Will he be able to soul charge that? Yes, he does. So there's 3 souls into Scharhrot now. So do know that Scharhrot skills actually at the start of the battle phase that determines the power gain. But then when upon attack, you can check for your soul again, so you can actually do soul charge in mid of the battle with yellow boat. But it does call number of terror there. But what number of terror does is upon attack, you can actually suck in one rear guard and then you draw 2 cards. So if you do it with Scharhrot, you can potentially draw 8 cards in one turn if you suck in 4 rear guards. But that's such a huge cost to pay. He's considering whether to swing the number of terror to draw additional cards or play the more safer play, which is just to swing with the Elbow Master first. He does swing with the Elbow Master limb. He's the damage trigger there. Swings with the number of terror boosted by yellow bolt, so charging the Great Researcher to draw 2 cards. So actually there's already 10 souls in the soul count. It's into the 4th damage. Scharhrot swings, withstanding most likely number of terror, yup he does. And that's 22k against a 19k body. 15k will be a 2-pass here. Goes for 2-pass with 20k shields. Try checks a critical trigger there. If he pumps correctly, it might end the game now. But most likely the safest play would still be pumping to number of terror to force more shields down. Yes, he does the correct play here. But actually dry checks another critical there, so you could have seen a game 1 concluded just by that. And a spoiler alert here, this series actually ends in a very long 53-minute game in real time. So I think I did trim a bit here and there, but it's such a long game, so if only he actually pumped the critical there, and this would have been over. So forcing more shields from the OTT there. And will OTT be able to recover? Actually, he can, because Susanoo is such a good card. Susanoo technically is a twin drive, actually a pot of greed, if people actually understand what pot of greed is from Yu-Gi-Oh! So what it does is actually just draws you 2 additional cards, and then that 2 cards, it will be revealed to the opponent, but you actually can get dry checks on them. Our opponent plays, you can check the top 2 and put 1 to the top deck, revealing to opponent, telling them like, I'm going to open a trigger here. And usually, if you see a heal, it's such a good thing to see for the OTT player. So using Susanoo's skill, calling blasting 1, so blasting 1, revealing the top 2 cards, gets a crit and a double critical in fact. So he now can determine which power how to pump the power. Given the fact that how Susanoo's skills is worded, you actually reveal the 2 cards first before doing the trigger effects. So this is very good for more efficient plays. Cause the Amaterasu and then the Great 2 Daba again to the rear guard circle. No, he actually chooses not to use it, because you do have soul issues easily with Susanoo. Choose to swing Vanguard like this without swinging the Amaterasu first. No, actually he replaced, he actually uses the Amaterasu skill there, which will be the better play since you want to determine what you're going to try check in the top 3. So what it does is discard 1, you choose 1 normal unit in the top 3, add 1 to hand, and you arrange the other 2 on top. So it guards for 25k guard there. Swings with the Vanguard with 1 critical, 2 critical, sorry. Forcing a negate there. And if the top 2 is another double trigger, the rear is going to hit quite hard as well. Actually drops the Demented Executioner there, focus the Twin Drive, gets a critical and a Tetramigas, so the side will be swinging for at least a 25k guard. And there's 8 hand size on the OTT player. So as you can see, they gain hand size while pressuring you with critical triggers, and then you will be dropping everything you have. So the shoe is thrown. Will Scharhrot be able to recover with multi-battle and number of terror to be specific? But from the DI hand, we do see multiple triggers in hand, so not exactly the best thing in the world. Not much of a comeback can be done here, but we do see a second number of terror in hand, and number of terror is always good to potentially draw into more pieces that he might need. Cause number of terror there, which effectively plus 10k because there's 10, at least 10 souls inside now. He calls the grade 3 behind because he intends to suck that unit out. Suck that unit in. Will he be committing the one more regard because to achieve the 4 draw here, and then restanding both of them because he might be hitting the 13 souls here. At this point in time, we do see how if you don't play Killer Tail, the deck actually does run out of counterblast very fast. And then especially against OTT, who constantly open crits, will potentially damage deny you eventually. So he does commit the crit Kanzen there. So it's going to draw a 4 this turn at least. Swings the number of terror there. Plus 12 souls, so 24k actually. So it's 15k guard, but he draws 2, sucking in the grade 3 behind. And we do see him draw into 2 critical triggers there. Very unfortunate, but you can't complain, more shields. Swing with the second number of terror sucking in the booster, so the booster doesn't carry forward, but you still do get 2 draws. And the number of terror who is freshly caught has already a big power anyway, so it doesn't matter. Throws 30k guard there. Scharhrot will now swing, which have potentially 13 souls ready. Yup, he does, so he stands 2 rear guard. And that's going to be very painful if he does open a double critical here. Twin drives. No trigger, unfortunate, because he does draw all of them already. But you still can potentially draw a lot of cards through number of terror. So swings at the rear, which is a good move since if you swing at the Vanguard, he will be happy to eat it. But I think he can still guard it very comfortably since it's only a 15k guard. Now will he be using the last number of terror attack to suck in the other number of terror to potentially draw 2 more cards? So he does swing at the side, and that's going to be asking for 25k shoes here. You can see Amaterasu actually does help Susanoo a lot, so he's considering whether to guard it. I would say it's a very strong rear guard that determines the flow of the game, to be honest. So he actually guards it for the Amaterasu, and then now it's Susanoo's turn again. Doesn't have the second grade 3 Susanoo right, but he still can use the skill. She calls the guard restrict there. Using the skill of Susanoo, will he be able to open criticals here? Nope, 2 blanks. This is not looking good at all. Calls the grade 3 searcher here, hoping to hit Amaterasu to guarantee a critical trigger. And he doesn't, but he hits Susanoo there. So if he does survive this turn, he can ride it on the next turn and then gonna get for can go for triple drive, but he actually discards it. So might be his hand is already clogging up and he needs more shield value in his hand. So swings with Amaterasu like this, which is a 25k power. Will he be a confident no guard here? Given that he does need Counter Blast to actually do the multi-battle with Scharhrot. So goes for 30k shield, which is too fast. Twin drives into a heal, which actually goes off. So very good for the OTT player, and probably the reason why this game actually drags so long. After all, it's 2 protect decks who opens heal on clutch. Clutch shields basically. So now determining whether which power to pump. Pumps all mid. Doesn't get the critical trigger or her second trigger to push the damage. No punish there. So now it's very awkward now, since currently he doesn't really want to give the counter blast. So we might see him potentially hitting the rear. Yup, he does. So he does hit the rear to deny the counter blast for the DI player. Using the Amaterasu skill to get another Tetramagus back to hand. And then swings at the rear guard once more, which is a 15k guard only. Will he be letting it go? Or does he want to draw more cards with Number Terror? Actually lets it go. So very smart move by the DI player, because actually if you were to be greedy and keep the number of terror there, you will deck out faster than the OTT. So he does right to the second Scharhrot, getting an arm marker, which is very important against the Susanoo matchup because they will be hitting you with such huge numbers. And now currently should be at least 14 to 15 souls, which is a huge amount. So any regard that he does commit here will hit over, will demand at least a 15k guard. Or at least a 10k shield. So letting go the number of terror there is a very heads up move by the DI player. Not going for the greed to keep it, to keep basically the number of terror. He does call the awful new there, so upon place he has to soul charge 1. And if there's 5 or more soul, he does get plus 5k. So it's gonna be a huge bit stick, sorry. He does call the Ember Master there, also another huge bit stick, and a 10k shield on top of that. That's gonna count the souls. Swings to the awful new there. So sorry, I'm not exactly sure how many souls has already been introduced inside the DI soul. So I can't give you the exact amount power to guard. So I believe it's 16 souls. He does point to the Vanguard and announce that it's 28k. But because there's no counter blast to restand, he can only swing 3 attacks this turn. But it will be still strong enough because DI is already hitting for huge number. Actually no guards here. If he opens a crit, it's game over, but he doesn't. He actually opens the heal, which some of you guys might think that it's actually not I would say it will be better if a crit, but actually the OD does open a heal because he does predict the heal through the Amaterasu skill there. But the heal does come in clutch because you put yourself outside of the ODD lethal zone, given the fact that he just have to open 1 critical and then giving it to the guard streak, and the guard streak will be able to end the game right there and then. So he does swing with the Ember Master to the Vanguard, which is a huge number given the fact that he does open a trigger there. Oh, he actually swing at the side, sorry, my apologies there. So it's now an OTT turn. Now if only he kept the second Susanoo in hand, it would be able to get a triple drive here, but he does have the soul charger there, which what he does is soul blast, soul charge in, checking the top card, putting 1 on the top deck, and the next trigger you get, instead of plus 10k, it'll be a plus 20k. But if only he kept the Susanoo, there will be such a clutch here, because getting a triple drive will ensure you actually get more chance to opening critical triggers, which he does need at least 2 to end the game here. Because the Tetra Mega's there, to most likely going to put a crit there to ensure he does open. Yep, he does. Will he be using Susanoo's skill here? And please, I also note that the Great 1 PR does give the bonus to the power of the trigger. So he needs one more critical and then it will really end the game. So he twin drives here. Doesn't get a critical, but he powers it to the side anyway. Will he be able to get another critical on top of the twin drive? Causes Amaterasu there. He does call another Great Researcher there. No, but actually reconsiders. Okay, no, he reconsidered it. Not sure what he's trying to hit here. Most likely another Amaterasu, so he can get the critical pressure there. So as you can see, he's actually counting number of critical triggers because he really needs to open the last one, or rather, yeah, one more basically to end the game with the Grade 2 garbage streak. So very lucky for the DI player to actually hit the heal there, making the OTT player more stressful than he has to. Yep, so he does commit the Great Researcher here, hoping to hit the Amaterasu. He actually does, so he's getting rewarded here, so he has to drop one card, then discards with the Amaterasu. He actually discards the Amaterasu itself, but the Amaterasu skill still procs, so he buys the top card. Luckily not a critical trigger, buys the Susanoo. Swings to the Vanguard, which is 25k. Oh sorry, with Amaterasu skill, actually 35k, 2 criticals. But given the fact that the DI does have a protect, so it most likely is going to be baiting and protect out here. Yep, so he goes for the protect marker there. So he still had to open one more critical to end the game, but no, that's a double blank. Swings with the CEO. Will he be dropping for the skill? So he does. So it looks at top 3 to get one normal unit back to hand. So he does put the Great 1 there, back to hand, leaving the top 2, but not arranging at all. So either is there's no triggers at all for him to actually mess around, or the triggers are already put in place. So he guards for the side. So now it's going to be a tough decision again by the OTT player. Will he continue to damage G9 or give counter blast to the DI player to potentially end the game? But because the trade-off is that you do give DI the counter blast, and the DI has already about 16 souls as mentioned in the previous turn, and you won't be able to guard very nicely against a 5 attack that has a 16k buff to the front row. So OTT has to think hard here. So will he be swinging at the Vanguard here or the side? Once again. Given that it's a top 4 game, one mistake will cost him a lot. So he does swing at the side for the D9 and counter blast, but as you can see, a DI player is more than happy to allow the Rear Guard to fall, because damage denying him at this point might be painful, but still, he does still have the wing con of the front row getting the buff through the Scharhrot, and just calling units will demand more shields from OTT player. So he does call the Great Searcher there. Even though it's just 8k here, but given the buff through Scharhrot, which is 17 souls at this point, it will be plus 17k, which is hitting for 25. So just 2 more souls away from magic number, but there's no need to. 15k shield is already more than enough. Currently OTT is at 4 damage, so not exactly the most lethal yet, but DI is more than healthy, currently at 3 damage. Sinks in a number of terror there. So there's 17 souls, so it's 26k, so it's actually a 15k guard there, which is thrown already. Swinging to Scharhrot, which is hitting for 29k here. Given the fact that the OTT didn't ride in the previous turn, so there was no protect marker to save him here. Since the Vanguard 29k, will there be a confident no guard here, testing the criticals of the DI player? No, he actually no guards. Twin drives into another double blank, but he does hit a draw trigger there. Not complaining because draw triggers means it's another Kanzen, and Kanzen is always good against Oracle Think Tank. So there's 25k guard here, which will be enough, but now he's reconsidering whether he should drop the guard restrict there. So now I think he's going to count how many guard restrict are left. Because once you let the guard restrict go, you might not have another win con after all. Because at this point of time, Oracle Think Tank seems to be out of gas already. And without souls with Susanoo, it's not looking good at all. At best, it's only a vanilla deck who can manipulate the top 3, but that's about it. He's thinking hard how he should guard this. So actually throws the guard restrict away. Yep, so he confirms the decision and then proceed with his turn. But we do see a great one best sister promo there, yep, so he does use the skill, looking at top 2, putting 1. But now he's only at 4 deck size, so I'm not exactly sure if you use the Susanoo skill there. Very unfortunate, but most likely this game has already concluded. Because the great one there, which is a common, really introduced in the same set, which is actually put a normal card from your drop zone back to the top deck, and that unit plus 15k. But what he needs is not more power, what he needs is actually a critical trigger. But then again, the DI have at least 2 Kanzen in hand, so he does need the guard restrict. So actually he uses the great one promo there, I mean the great one common or rare, which is to bind the look at the top card and then check if it's a normal unit, you plus 10k to the same column. But hit the Amaterasu there, but it's into a perfect guard. Very unfortunate, and this might be it. Yeah, and we do proceed to game 2. It's game 2, and OTT does go first here, which might bring a different swing to this game. Press the Tetramakers there and pass his turn. Now will the DI be able to ride the yellow boat there, which he does not ride in the previous game, so he does this game. Does this game. Gets a quick shoot there. Swings with the yellow boat like this, getting a blank there. Passes turn to the OTT. Rides into the grade 2 guard restrict there, calling the grade 2 Ichi, sorry. And now revealing a top deck, which is just a Tetramakers which is a clear sign for the DI player if he wants to guard for one pass. He actually no guards here. And Great to Ichi will swing for 19k there, which is a 15k guard. Will he be able to eat it this turn? Or will he be guarding it? In my opinion, OTT has always been the kind of deck that is on a time ticking clock, I would say. Because the deck does run out of resource quite fast. But the trade-off is that the deck does burst quite a lot. So it uses the Yellow Boat skill, so charging at least a trigger and then draw one. Now will he be using the Ember Master skill here? So current the soul is 3 in soul. Cause the awful new there. But reconsidering, it actually calls the Great Searcher first, which is the correct play, because if you are going to commit the soul charger there, you must commit the Great Searcher first to witness the soul charge to get the plus 5k for her. So he does call the second Great Searcher there, so it's going to be a very aggressive turn by the DI player. I think he's fishing out the number of terror there. And no, he actually hits a Scharhrot there instead. So now will he be able to discard? What will he be discarding? Sorry, most likely the Quick Shoe. Yep, he does. And finally committing the awful Neo here. So currently the soul check is 4. He's reconsidering whether he's going to commit more rearguard here. Actually moves the Great Searcher up instead, but effectively it's a 13k attacker. Swings and guards intercept straight away. Vanguard swings for 9k, hits a heal here, very lucky for him, and it's going to be a long game after all, given that if both players actually hits their heal and gets more protect markers in their hand, this game won't end very fast compared to the Cross and Messiah games. So Rise Susanoo there, checking the top 2. So what will we be putting on top? Actually puts Susanoo on top. Will he be able to secure a second right? Or will he actually use the Tetra Makers there to draw one? He's reconsidering it once again. No, he actually chooses not to use the Tetra Makers effect at all. Now then use the Susanoo skill to twin drive, revealing Susanoo and a Susanoo. Okay, this is surprising. So no critical trigger there at all. So just going to be a 3 plain swings, unless he does get the twin drive, which double critical here, which could potentially swing. So actually move the Amaterasu back and proceeding to damage deny the DI player once again. So the heal does cost him in a sense, but then again, DI has no issues with dragging the game because Scharhrot's skill is basically free in terms of the power buff. So that's right, the Scharhrot here. So current soul check should be 5, if I'm not mistaken. Moves the Great Searcher up. Proceeds to call the Age of Darkness there, so charging 1, so there's 6 souls currently in the DI. I think there's no reason to commit any further since there's no counterblast to work with unless he does have a number of terror to work with. So swings for 14k, which is a 5k guard. So it's going to intercept here. Most likely going to be a no guard. Nope, he actually reconsider it. Thinking whether to eat it here. I mean, 5k pokes are actually very annoying, especially the fact that it's either 1 damage, getting unpunished, or getting rewarded. So actually no guards here, we will see a critical push here. Nope, but gets a draw trigger instead. So further increasing the hand size of the DI, and then pushing damage while being at 0 damage. So what the OTT player did there might have been a mistake in my opinion, but his trigger checks were not the greatest, so I can't say much there. Forcing a Kanzen already here, then pass a stun to the OTT, but he does have another OTT Susanoo, right? So this might change the tempo of the game. Looking at top 2 again, putting on top a critical trigger. Inside the CEO, prepare for the attack. Cause the guard restrict once again, so will we be able to see a 0 to 6 here? Triple drives. We do see Amaterasu and a heal and a critical, so he'll heal off everything power to the rear guard. Amaterasu skill, giving the critical and power to the Susanoo. So total 20k power pump to the guard restrict rear guard. But given the fact that DI is currently at 0 damage, this is nowhere close to lethal at all. Given the fact that DI does have Kanzen and a draw negate dry check in the previous turn. But does hit another Amaterasu there? I mean Amaterasu here. Will he be using it, the skill? He's going to use it. No, he doesn't. Instead uses the ground promo here. No, he's reconsidering it once again. Yep, so he does bind it. Now using the promo skill to search top 2, putting 1 on top, the next trigger will get additional 10k buff. So swings with the Vanguard here, which is a 35k 3 criticals, but it's going to be an easy protect marker here. Yep, so that's the problem for OTT against another protect matchup. Your Vanguard swings is going to be very easily guarded, and you need to push damage early game to push to the 3-4 damage lethal zone for the guard restrict to actually end the game there. So if anybody is unsure what the guard restrict actually does, it's actually upon attacking, if you have 5 hand cards in your hand, you can look at the top card of your deck, reviewing to opponent, and opponent can only guard with that specific unit. So if he does review a normal unit, opponent can only use normal unit to guard. So we do see a critical trigger check here, and a draw trigger. So that's only 3 damage from the guard restrict. And DI, once again, I have mentioned, it's at 0 damage, so it's very far away from lethal. Swings with Amaterasu here to give 1 damage here. So will the DI player actually eat the damage here? Actually uses the Ichima Grade 2 Ichi skill to bind the top card of his deck. So guys, hit most likely is going to eat the 3 damage here. So we do see a draw trigger damage there, ready for the next turn. But now DI has counter blast to work with, but he's on the clock as well, given the fact that if he doesn't end the game or doesn't have enough shields to guard for the guard restrict, OTT player might have a chance to win. So he does ride the second Scharhrot here. No, sorry, third Scharhrot. No, second Scharhrot, sorry. Cause the Demented Executioner there to soul charge 3. To draw 1 because he does hit the trigger there, and we do see him top decking another Scharhrot. We'll be able to see a number of terror here. What's the Elbow Master here? Very interesting play. Targeting the Demonted Executioner. So soul charging from deck and drop zone. So yeah, it's gonna soul charge at least 3 here, I believe. So just 2. Okay, most likely 1 from right. No, actually 1 from the drop, sorry. So there's 3 souls added into the Scharhrot here. So if I'm not mistaken, currently DI has at least 13 souls to work with and does call the number of terror there. So number of terror does hit the plus 10k bonus. So there's 14 souls as confirmed by the DI player. So there's gonna be a potential 2 Regard stance in this turn. So swings with Demonted Executioner with a bonus of plus 14k, which is 23k, which is a 15k guard. Swings the number of terror there, unboosted most likely, which is at least a third 25k guard. So charging in to the I sort of forgot the name. Amber Master, sorry, yeah, Amber Master. So drawing 2 cards there. A 25k guard, no guards here. Is the draw trigger here, but will be enough because the plus 14k buff in the front row is relatively strong, and there's still boosters to boost with in the second wave of attack. Guards for 2 pass here, gets a critical trigger here. Will we be able to witness the all-in here, which was missed in the last game? But DI player is reconsidering it very carefully because it might be better off to put at the side to push for more damage eventually, grinding out the game because his hand is actually currently looking very healthy with Kanzens and protect markers against the OTT. So actually goes for the all-in here, but gets a heal instead of critical. So no 3 to 6 here, a double blank. This is not looking good at all for the OTT, but the OTT hand looks very healthy also, so it's most likely going to be very easily guarding the 2 attacks here. So 15k guard only, you swings the number of terror here, so charging the Great Tree Searcher here to draw 2 additional cards. So another 25k guard requested, and then passes turn. How will the OTT player win or recover in this turn? Rise into the third Susanoo here, using the skill once again to search top 2. Revealing the Amaterasu, binding the card straight away, giving the Vanguard plus 10k 1 critical. But then again, I would like to stress that because you're fighting again another protect deck, the protect marker just is a very easy guard against the middle. So does use the Susanoo skill here. Triple driving, but only 1 critical scene. But because the DI fortunately has opened another heal in the previous turn, pushing him further away from the lethal zone, so he needs another double critical here on the guard restrict to win the game. Swings with the Vanguard here, which is a 35k 2 crits. Protect marker is dropped here, as mentioned. Gets a heal here, power to the side. Gets another heal here. Oh man, this game is gonna drag even longer. But then again, the guard restrict is only at 2 damage, so it's not gonna push any lethal at all. Swing the Amaterasu here. Will he be using the skill, which is just a 5k guard because the Great One did look at the top card and is revealing a critical trigger instead of a normal unit, so it's no 10k buff there. but he's not taking anything back to hand, so this is a good sign that it's either mostly 3 triggers or the top card is not a trigger unit, so he want to use the guard restrict here to push for damage. Swings the Vanguard, reveal the top card to bind the EG here, which is 2 damage pushed. So once again, the OTT have to survive this turn and hope the DI doesn't open another heal here, which will further push him away from the lethal zone. So as she rides the third Scharhrot here, so we do see a ride constantly from both players, both very strong players I would say. So currently it's at 15 souls, if I'm not mistaken, for the DI player. But looking at the hand of the DI player, it's looking very, very healthy. That's called the awful nail there to soul charge one, so we are hitting 16 souls here. And then awful nail, since there's 5 or more souls, it actually plus additional 5k power. So the OTT player here is checking the DI's deck size, but I would say the more ethical play would be actually asking the player to, your opponent to check themselves. So I think it's more nicer that way. So swings the awful nail here, which is most likely hitting for 30k power here, which is a 20k guard. Yep, forced it out. Using number of terror here, not using it to draw 2 additional cards, but it's another 20k guard. $20k is forced again. Scharhrot will be swinging on a 28k by himself, and that's a huge number. Sends the 2 Regard. And looking at the OTT deck size, it's not looking very healthy, and this game might end, or rather might conclude with another deck out from the previous game. No, apologies, actually there's 18 souls in this turn. Damn. Genos, 16 souls only. I'm not too sure about the souls, so sorry I lost count. But he is a heal trigger once again. Empowering to the side, and this heal trigger has been coming clutch for the DI player. Always pushing him away from the lethal zone, forcing the OTT to be very stressed. Uses the protect marker straight away there to guard for the guard restrict, because the guard restrict is OTT's only win con here for winning the DI, because the DI is looking very healthy with his triggers in hand and the guard and the protect markers. So now he's counting the critical triggers here again, because he does need at least 2 to end the game here. So how will the OTT actually play out this turn? So that's the thing about Tetramegas being a very good card introducing OTT, because you want to guarantee that critical drive checks, and even though you do draw quite a lot, if you do accidentally draw the triggers into your hand, Tetramegas will be here to save the day. So it uses a great uncommon here to put the advantage so back to the top deck, but it's not going to help this game at all, because once again you are fighting a protect matchup, and the marker will just be dropped. You'll be hitting a wall. So swings to Vanguard like this, which is 35k power. So as I mentioned, the protect marker is easily dropped here. Twin drives, a critical trigger here, but it does need one more. It doesn't get the second critical trigger, and this is not looking good at all. Uses the Amaterasu skill here, further going into the deck, unless you don't take a card. He chooses not to take a card into hand, but there's only 4 deck size left. Guts confidently with the 15k issue there. Swings to the guy restrict here, revealing a normal unit, but he's going to eat the damage anyway. And the DI currently deck size only 3 cards, so if he does have one more draw trigger there, this will be it. But he does right to the 4th Scharhrot here. Very fortunate for the DI player. So cause a yellow bird here, and this might be the final turn. So now the OTT player here must be looking at the triggers lineup, hoping he does play more draw triggers here. So if he does open a draw trigger here, it will be game over for the DI player. But I'm sure the DI player already knows what is left in the deck itself, and this will be a confident final turn for him. Swings with the awful nail here, which is swinging for 28k, so it's basically 19 souls. Swings to the last Scharhrot skill, sending 2 more regards. So twin drives, and it's game. Thank you for watching till the end of this very long top 4. Do stay tuned for more tournament videos, as well as follow me on my Twitter for decklist retweets.